Hey y'all, what's up? It is your host, your girl, Tanara, and I am back with the Fake Straight podcast. Grab your favorite beverage, or my favorite, a glass of champagne, clink clink, and let's get into it. Last week, I talked with you all about how I started dating the first woman, Jody, in 2013, which lasted for about 4 years. On this episode, I'm going to share with you a little bit about me, my family upbringing and background, tell you a little bit about the guy that I dated off and on for almost 10 years before I started dating women. And then I will share with you my coming out story. And also share with you how I tried to be fake straight. I tried to date men off and on over these years. I gave them a try. It just didn't work out for me, y'all. Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm from Slidell, Louisiana, in between New Orleans and Baton Rouge. I love going home, relaxing, hitting up the daiquiri shop, shooting the shit with all my people. I love it. I currently live in Denver, Colorado. I've lived in LA, Dallas, Houston, New York, Fort Collins, Colorado before I moved to Denver. I grew up in a large family. I've got 5 brothers, 2 sisters. I'm very close to my sister that's a year older than me. And we grew up in a very religious household. My mom was an evangelist. She was a minister. So we grew up in the trenches of religion, y'all. I mean, in the trenches. We were getting it. We were at 9 o'clock prayer during the summer. We were fasting until 3 p.m. when school was out. We had to join the praise team, the choir. We had to babysit the children in the children's center. We had to do it all. We were heavy into religion. So something I've heard often is that, women end up dating other women for various reasons, right? So I've heard it's because someone hurt them, or it's easier because women understand women, or they've been hurt by men, or they were molested, or they've got these issues. It's so much shit about why people say women date women. So I'm not going to speak on behalf of the lesbian community. I'm just going to speak for Tanara. One of my brothers said the same thing when I shared that I was now dating women. And he immediately, because men, he immediately said something to the effects of, is this because of your ex-boyfriend? Did he do something to you? It was this whole narrative he created in his mind of why I was now dating women, which was completely untrue. Unfortunately, that's how men think sometimes. It's all about them. Like, how is it now because of a man that I've decided to date a woman? Like, make that make sense. No, this is just a choice that I made. I'm going to start off by telling you a little bit about the relationship I was in, the longest relationship actually, with my high school, college sweetheart, and then tell you about how that relationship ended and how I transitioned. Let's use the term transitioned into dating women. I meet this guy named Smith my senior year of high school. When I meet him, I thought he was just the most amazing man in the world, right? He was smart. He's from New Orleans. He's got a little New Orleans swag to him. And he played basketball and was just very positive and was a very positive person in my life. So we started dating my senior year of high school. We date throughout college. And then after college, we date off and on for several years. Again, I drag shit out. We should have ended it after we graduated college. I don't know why we dragged it out for years after that, but we did. So I date him. And at the time, despite me thinking at 23 years old, I wanted to be married and have kids, by the time I was 26, 27, I definitely did not want that. I had lived in Houston LA, Dallas, and I just, like the world opens up for you once you leave home. And so growing up in Louisiana and then, coming from a single mom household, I really did think like, I want stability, I want marriage, I want family, I want kids. And then once I graduated high school and went off to California to go to college, I was like, I don't know about this. Then a couple years later, once I graduate college and I'm like traveling and doing things, like I just don't know if marriage and kids is for me. And I still loved Smith, but I just didn't think that that was my path in life. I just thought, an Oprah Stedman kind of situation is better for me. And now looking back on it, I can now see that I was not fulfilled in that relationship. And regardless of me not knowing that I was fake straight, it just wasn't, that traditional life was not what I wanted. So he and I date off and on, and then we finally end things, I believe, in like 2010, 2011. But we were still hanging out, right? Because like that's the homie. Like he and I were really, really good friends. I can honestly say he's someone that I dated that I considered a best friend, that I considered to be like a good friend of mine. And it's so interesting because I remember when we were still in a relationship, but I knew it was kind of like running its course. I remember thinking, I hope one day when he's married and I'm in a relationship or I'm married, I hope we can be friends. I hope we can meet, every couple months or twice a year with each other's spouse and like have dinner and just be cool. Like I really wanted, in between that time we broke up and before I started dating Jody, we were still hanging out, kicking it. We would randomly sleep together, but it would just be on some randomly, oh, we were out and then it happened. It wasn't on some, let's reconnect, we're in love, let's figure this out. It was like, oh yeah, we had a great time at the D bar and now like we're drinking, like let's hook up, whatever. So just a couple of random times he and I hooked up. So when I met Jody, or when I started talking to Jody in April of 2013, he and I had still been cool. He and I had hooked up maybe a couple of months before that, maybe 2-3 months before. No big deal, whatever. So then when I started dating Jody, like as soon as I started dating her, I was so interested in her. I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody else. Like that's how I am. When I start dating you, if I'm feeling you, nobody else exists to me. So I messaged him and said, hey, I'm dating somebody. I don't think we can hang out. Like, I don't think it would be appropriate for us to hang out like we were, but let's stay cool, whatever. He was kind of an asshole about it, which was surprising to me because we had been friends at that point, dating and friends for like 14 years. And he had always been so kind to me and like never disrespectful and just like a real stand-up guy. Maybe a month or two after I stopped talking to him and I was talking to Jody, I don't know if I told him I was dating a woman because I know I remember telling him I'm dating somebody, but I did not tell him I'm dating a woman. And I'm not sure if like my ex-best friend at the time told him or if I told him. I couldn't remember, but I remember he called me and I was with Jody and he was saying something and Jody got mad and she's like, yeah, tell him you're a woman. Gasp. Oh, this is getting messy. It's getting messy. And he was like, wait, what? And I just hung up the phone. I didn't know what to say. So that became really, really messy. And I hated the way that kind of wrapped itself up. And we've reconciled since then. And I love him dearly. But at the time, it was really messy. Later on, once I was dating women and he and I were genuinely cool, he told me that he had been cheating on me most of our relationship. So shit, maybe that would have made me turn gay. But at the time, whenever I started dating women, I did not know that this had happened. I thought he was a great guy. I thought we were in love, but just outgrowing each other. No one hurt me in that way. I just was open. Some people have asked, okay, if you dated men all your life, how did you just go to being open to dating a woman? If you know me, then you know, first of all, I'm always just vibing. I'm always just vibing. I'll try anything once except cocaine. I will try anything once except for hard drugs. So it wasn't that big of a deal to me. It wasn't something I thought about, but it wasn't something I was against. I had gay friends, I had lesbian friends. So it wasn't something that was such a big deal to me. Although I started dating the first woman in 2013, to back it up, in 2011, I was visiting New York, or maybe I lived there at the time. Anyway, I was in New York. I was hanging out. It was a couple friends of mine. We were all at some random party at a nightclub. We're partying. I start dancing with this woman. Well, she starts dancing with me. Okay. She starts dancing with me, and it was getting sexy because it was clear she was interested. So to make a long story short, she ends up kissing me and I kissed her back. It was a moment, y'all. It was very passionate. It's very sexy. I don't know how or why it happened, but it happened. And I was interested. I was intrigued a bit, you know? And so even at that time, when that happened, she and I exchanged numbers. But later on, when she called me, like a couple of days later, she called me and was like, yo, like, what's up? How are you? I was so scared because yet again, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not really gay. I'm not really gay. Like, why did I give this girl my number? Like, sure, we had a kiss, whatever. It's the equivalent to a spring break kiss. So then a couple years later, when I met Jody, it wasn't a stretch for me to be attracted to her, but it was a stretch for me to think about a relationship with a woman. So I moved to Colorado in 2017. Before I left Houston, I was like, well, let me see. Let me go back to what I know. Let me date some guys, have some fun. Well, I'm kicking it. I'm spinning the block on a couple of people. That's when I thought, okay, I'm going out on dates with men, and it's just not the same feeling that I had. At this point, like I said, I'm not labeling myself. I like who I like. I vibe with who I vibe with. So let me just see, who I'm interested in. And so that's when I thought, well, you know what? Let me hop on good old Tinder. I love Tinder. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, it's psychotic sometimes, but shit, people you meet in real life are psychotic sometimes. So I hop on Tinder, or I don't even know what the other site was back then. I'm hopping on Tinder. I'm connecting with women, going out on a couple of dates. But I'm still just not sold. Like, I'm sold on the fact that I know I have enjoyed a relationship with a woman. I know that I'm vibing with women. But to be honest, my relationship with Jody was not a stretch from my relationship with men. And I know that may be hard for some people to understand. But when you're a baby lesbian, when you're free and new, again, you don't know what you're doing. And I'm not talking about sexually, perverts. Well, that too. I'm not talking about sexually. I'm talking about everything, like how you interact with them, how y'all are connecting, kind of like whose role is what, who's doing what. And so since Jody was a mask presenting female, and and when I say mask presenting, I mean, she wore men's clothing. So she was like a pretty tomboy. And she definitely carried herself that way out in public. Behind closed doors, she was not super masculine. She was not hardcore stud or anything. She was like sweet and feminine and very accommodating. Like, she didn't do that. But in public, it was very mask presenting, which was a little bit annoying because if we go out and someone's trying to talk to me, like if a guy is trying to talk to me, it was always like this like big chest thing, like, oh no, this man didn't. And it's like, girl, it's a man. Like, what are we going to do? What are you going to do? Because I ain't in it. No, are you about to fight this man? Leave this man alone. So that was a bit annoying. And so in that relationship, she definitely liked Jody liked the traditional roles of relationships, even though we were two women in a relationship. And I didn't like that. It's kind of like when people ask you as a lesbian, if you're with another woman, they'll ask you, who's the man in the relationship? And it's like, it's two women. There's two women in this relationship. There's no man. But for Jody, she liked that. She liked the traditional role of let me open your door. Now I did love that. Please open my door, please and thank you. But she loved that traditional role of let me open your door, let me take care of things, let me make plans, let me pay for things. All of those things, sure. Sign me up for them. But in other ways, it's just like we're just two women in this relationship. And so that's why I say in that relationship, it was not much different from me dating a guy because I didn't change much. I didn't really understand how to be a girlfriend to a woman because the way this woman acted was not how other women that I've dated acted. Like, other women are like, yeah, we're two women in a relationship. So I go on a couple of dates with guys. I met this amazing guy. I like to call him Winter Bay. Cool ass white dude from Shreveport who lived out here. We hung out for a little bit and then I saw he was growing weed in his basement. True story. He said, I grow just a little bit of weed. I used to work with a dispensary, but I don't do that anymore. So now I just grow a little bit of weed. And I went to his house. It was not a little bit of weed. It was like, okay, the feds are about to kick in the door any moment type weed. Like it was a whole situation. And yes, it is legal in Colorado to smoke weed and to grow your own weed. I don't know the actual law, but you can only grow a certain amount. I'm positive that you cannot grow distribution amounts of weed. So no. So that was that. But loved Winter Bay. He was great. He was fun. Dated another guy, Holiday Bay. Y'all, Holiday Bay was cute. He was cute. Do y'all know he did the sweetest thing? The sweetest gift someone has ever given to me in my life. He knew I was obsessed with Christmas because I am. I love, love, love the holidays. And we were only talking for maybe 2 weeks. We went on one date. We were talking for 2 weeks and we went on a date. He was going to Montana with his family to, they were going hunting. And so when he came back, he goes, I hope this isn't too forward and I hope you don't think it's weird, but I know you said how much you love Christmas. So when we were up in Montana, my brother and my dad, we go hunting before Christmas and then we usually cut down our own Christmas trees. And so he said, so I cut you down a Christmas tree. Oh my God. What a Hallmark movie. How cute is... All right, -1 for the lesbians because the lesbian has not cut me down a Christmas tree. So it's very, very cute. When he brought the Christmas tree over, it was cute. It was very sweet of him. And he even went to Ace Hardware to get all the stuff to put it up for me. Very cute. We were sitting on the sofa and he was staring at me and he's like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. And he's like, can I touch your hair? I'm not lying. This is a true story. He said, can I touch your hair? It's just so exotic. Lesbians are back up. Like, no, I'm not exotic. I'm a regular black woman with a weave. Like, no. So that was the end of that. So my coming out story, I don't like to say that I had a coming out story because I don't really feel like I quote unquote came out. I feel like I met this woman, I started dating her, and then maybe after a month, I was like, okay, like, I need to share this with my family. And at the time I was living in Houston, I've got my chosen family in Houston. I've got good friends, line sisters. My people are in Houston, but I don't have blood family besides my niece in Houston. And so for all intents and purposes, I could have had my gay moments and no one would have been the wiser. But that's not the way I live my life. So about a month after I started dating Jody, I knew I wanted to tell my sister about it. My sister is a year older than me and she and I are very close. And so I just felt weird not sharing it with her because even though it was only a month, Jody and I were together all the time and we were spending a lot of time together. And so I went home, I ended up telling my sister and I'm scared, right? And That's why I tell y'all, if you have someone, if you're listening to this podcast and you are not part of our community, but you are here as a friend, ally, maybe you have someone that you love that is in the LGBTQ community. The best thing you can do is just be supportive. Just be supportive. Like, this is not affecting you in any way. How we choose to live our lives is not affecting you in any way. So if you can find the love, if you can find the support, please offer that. When I tell y'all, I was so scared to tell my sister because I just thought, oh my gosh, she's going to be like, mm-mm. Like, I don't know what the hell is wrong with you, what you doing. And I'm sure she said those things behind closed doors. But to me, she was like, okay, like I thought you were going to tell me you had cancer or you were pregnant. That's what she told me. And that was that, so then I believe I told my mom next. My mom is the type of person, if you tell her, then you don't got to do nothing else. You can just wait for her to tell everybody else. The siblings, church folks, extended family. You don't got to make no other announcement. She'll tell them. That's exactly what I did. And so one by one, it was filtering through the family and everybody had their opinions. Unfortunately, two of my brothers did not talk to me for several years. I want to say 2 years, 3 years. They didn't talk to me. I remember I went to go visit my mom in California. And at the time I was with Jody and Jody came with me. We were just going out there. We weren't going to see my family. We were just taking a trip to LA. And then obviously I'm in LA. I'm going to see my mom and my brothers that live out there. My brother told my mom, well, I really want to see Tanara, but she can't bring Jody over here. So she can stay at the hotel, but like she can come over here. Now, why in the hell would I go to California on a vacation with a girlfriend and then leave her in the hotel room so I could go see my family? And I know some people might, but that's not me. Again, like no one's going to dictate to me how I move in life or how I move through life. Another one of my brothers, he said, this is just so ungodly. I can't believe you. I absolutely love when people bring religion and God into the LGBTQ space as like a justification as to why they don't accept it. And it's like, when's the last time you've been to church? And like, I didn't even know you still went to church. People love bringing religion up. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm good on that. Eventually they got over it or they didn't. I know they didn't say anything after I started dating, girlfriend after girlfriend. Then it was like, oh, hey, how are you? Shit, I was engaged to a woman and they were like, congratulations. So I guess they got over it. I'll have to have one of my good friends come on here and talk about when I actually told friends because I don't remember it because it wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't important to me because my friendships and my family is important to me, but no one's going to dictate how I live my life. It was so important for me not to put myself in a box or label myself something because I just, I think about this all the time because I went really hard about it. And I think on one hand, I went so hard about it because I didn't like the fact that other people were trying to put that on me. Like, you don't get to choose who I am. You don't get to define me. Like, let me define me. So that was on one side. And then on the other side of it, I just thought, well, I really don't know if I'm going to date men again. And so I don't want to say I'm a lesbian, say I'm this. And then it's like, oh, wait, she popped up with a guy. And so now that I've grown, I still don't want others to define me. You can label me whatever you want, but whatever. I label myself as a lesbian now because now I'm comfortable with saying, okay, I'm a lesbian. I'm not bisexual. I'm not interested in men. So now, 11 years later, I do know that the connection I've had with women that I've dated is far stronger than what I've had with men. The attraction that I've had, the chemistry that I've had, the connection, just everything it's much more stronger. So I feel comfortable saying, yeah, I'm a lesbian, but this is 11 years. So at the beginning, when I first started dating women and people wanted me to label myself, it's like, I don't know what the fuck I am. I'm trying to figure this out. When I figure it out, you'll be the first to know. It's not an experiment. It's like at this point, the men were the experiment. This is no shade to men. This has been my fake straight journey. It has been an amazing journey to come into situations and say, I'm going to honor myself. I am going to choose for myself. Instead of letting other people project onto me, I am going to be me. I am going to define me. So that part of the journey has been incredibly rewarding. And I even love, 11 years later that I'm sitting here with this podcast talking about this. I'm able to do that as I've grown up, as I become more comfortable with myself, and as I release societies, friends, family, religion, as I release all of those things that are projected onto me, then I can say, this is who I am. Like, let me be me. So I hope y'all have enjoyed me sharing this part of my journey with you. Coming up, I have talked to some of my friends about coming on the show, and I cannot wait for them to share. Some of them, their fake straight journey. Some of them is just their gay journey. I'm super excited for y'all to hear their perspective, hear about their life stories, and just learn more about our world. So I love talking about gay shit. So this has made me extremely happy. Join us every Thursday to hear all about our world. I hope your biggest takeaway is to not let others put you in a box or label you. Remember, you define you. Holla.